Hello and welcome everyone to my little talk about the history of plug and play and my special mission of the Founder Initiative. We are the largest global innovation ecosystem. We run more than 60 accelerator programs around the world, and we invest in over 250 startup companies every year, which makes us one of the most active venture capital firms in Silicon Valley. Now, especially the year of 2020 has shown us that innovation happens everywhere. It happens in Africa, in Europe, here in the US, in Asia, all over the world. And people are there with bright ideas to solve problems. They solved a lot of the problems that the pandemic caused, for instance. And that's really our mission, that innovation should be open. And we create those ecosystems with plug and play. And we actually have brought this ecosystem to other locations outside of Silicon Valley in the world. We create connections between the brightest minds of the world. And how do we do that? The key is connection. We connect corporates with startups, startups with investors, mentors with startups. So we create an overall very engaging ecosystem in which innovation can happen and in which people strive together to make the world an exciting and better place in the future. Now, first, before I dive into what we do today and who we are as a company today, I would like to take you on a journey back to the 1990s, which is when the beginnings of plug and play started. Our founder, Saeed Amidi, he came to the US during the Iranian Revolution. And back then, he had two businesses. One was a water company, and the other one was a plastic packaging company. But plug and play wasn't born out of either of these. It was born out of Saeed's real estate business. One of the buildings he owned was on University Avenue in Palo Alto. People refer to that building as the Lucky Building because here on this slide, you see some of the most recognizable companies, and they came out of this building. They have all started their journey there in the one or the other way. So there were the days when the startup topic really became a big thing. And due to the rug store that Saeed was running on University Avenue, he got into the conversation with a lot of venture capitalists. And they were asking him, hey, have you ever considered renting out space to startups? And he decided that that wasn't such a bad idea. So at one point, he decided to rent out the space, parts of the building, to Pierluigi Zappacosta, the founder and CEO of Logitech. And he saw the company grow. He saw the company have an IPO, and he decided, I want to invest. The next company was Google, with the early team with Larry and Sergey. Now, Saeed was close friends with Ron Conway. And in the days, Ron Conway had just launched his first fund, Angel Investors, LP. Together with him, Saeed decided to invest in Google. And of course, we know how the story goes. The Google team grew, and eventually they moved out of the building and moved to Mountain View. And well, that made Saeed realize, I have to get into this topic of technology startups. I want to be involved and I want to be an active investor. So that's what he did. A couple of years later, Max Levchin and Peter Thiel approached Saeed with the idea of PayPal. But to be honest, Saeed was a little bit nervous because while they had a lot of venture capital, they weren't so sure about their business model. So Saeed was afraid, would they run out of cash and would they be able to pay their rent in the end? He decided, I'm going to offer you 2 years of rent upfront, and they paid the rent upfront. And Saeed actually invested half of the rent money back into PayPal. As we know, PayPal got acquired by eBay in 2002 for $1.5 billion. So good investment. Again, the lucky bully had its had a strike. And then there was a fourth important company which made our history. It's called Danger. Now, you may not immediately recognize the name Danger, but you definitely know the founder, Andy Rubin, Android developer. Actually, Danger was his first company, his first startup prior to developing Android. It got acquired by Microsoft for $500 million. They were developing the first US-centric smartphones. Those are the most important milestones of our history. Now, you may be wondering, first, you're not in Palo Alto anymore, and also you're not a co-working space. So what happened between those stories and between the plug-and-play ecosystem that we know today? So in 2006, Saeed decided to buy the headquarters as we know them today in Sunnyvale, 440 North Wolf Road. And he decided, knowing also the corporate world from his other two businesses, that if there's one thing missing in the previous way he engaged with startups, it's the validation of the technology. Because startups need two things if you think about it. Yes, they need investment, they need money to run. But secondly, which is also important for investors, they need the traction, they need customers. So he was thinking about a way to bring corporations which are looking for new technologies. They are often struggling to innovate. He was wondering, how can we bring those corporates who are looking for technology solutions, who need more innovation, how can we bring them together with those startups who have those innovative solutions? And he created an ecosystem of change makers. So today at Plug and Play, we find startups, corporations, the investment community, but also governments, regulators, mentors, and universities. And all together, they create this very vibrant space of innovation. We run over 60 accelerator programs around the world in all major industries and cities. On the next slide, you will see a couple of those industries which we cover. We work together with the corporate innovation topic with over 400 major corporations around the world. And after all, we're still an investment company too. We invest in over 250 companies worldwide every year and co-invest together with 180 VCs. Now, here are some of the industries which we cover via our acceleration programs. So as you see, all the big topics which keep our minds busy in the 21st century, such as sustainability. How can we make agtech more efficient for the global population? And also we adjusted COVID-19 challenges with a special program there. But you will find all industries with their innovation topics, such as fintech, such as media and advertising, supply chain, smart cities, many topics that we cover, and we almost every year we add on to this list. So we adjust with the world developing around us too. And here are some of the corporate partners who work with us in those programs, who want to see the most innovative talent and entrepreneurs from all around the world, and we help them with that. Now, how does the magic happen between startups and corporate? It's definitely not enough to put them all in a room and just let them sit there. So we have a couple of special tricks. One of those special mechanisms is what we call a deal flow. So for a deal flow, a corporation, a corporate partner, tells us what is their challenge, what is their tech interest. Then we go out there and source 15 to 20 startups that match exactly that interest. And together with the partner, we filter down to 5 to 8 startups. Then in a 30-minute private session, the startups pitch towards the corporate partner for 30 minutes each. So, and as a result, we hope that partnerships develop in forms of a POC, so a proof of concept project or a pilot project. Sometimes when that doesn't happen, or when it does, it's also about getting insights from the other side. Startups often don't know the corporate world, so it's very, very useful for them to understand the market better, to understand what their customers need or what they don't need. And at the same time, for the corporates too, it's interesting to look at things like, what is the next big trend, or what are people looking for in the future? And sometimes it's completely out of your own perspective. So it's really getting these insights in a mutual beneficial way. Of course, it's always nice if afterwards we also get a chance to invest in some of the successful startups. So often the next stage when we see successful traction is that we invest, or one of our investment partners. Sometimes we also have venture capital arms from the corporate partners who invest in startups. And sometimes there's also an acquisition or a white label product as an outcome of the partnership that has been entered before. And after that, of course, this is not a singled out event. We do that multiple times during each of our accelerator programs. Now, for deal flows, but also for our acceleration programs, we have to source startups. And we do that via various ways. So via government and university partners, via our inbound applications from the website, of course, via some of our venture capital partners, and with a whole team of venture capital employees who do nothing but go out there and look for the brightest talents and the brightest startups out there in the world. Now, for the acceleration programs, the corporates dictate the focus. And after we know the focus, we go out there and we source 1,000 startups approximately for each program. From the 1,000 startups, we do a short list of 100, so 10% are selected. Then the startups are reviewed by our corporate partners, and they tell us which 40 they would like to invite to a selection day, which is organized by Plug and Play. After the selection day, during which the startups have the opportunity to pitch their technology to our corporate partners, half of them are selected. So around 2% of the original 1,000 startups. And after we have had the chance to observe some of the startups, how they are doing in the programs, we invest in approximately 5 in each program, meaning that 0.5% get investment from the original 1,000 startups that we look at. Now, with all that makes Plug and Play an overall turnkey for innovation. So we have the corporate innovation side with the matchmaking and the deal flows. And there's one thing that I forgot. So the special sauce, apart from the deal flows and the more direct matching, is events. Plug and Play runs more than 700 events every year. And that's also true for year 2020. We have done everything virtual with Zoom, Remo, and all the tools that are out there. Hopin, we have tried a bunch of new tools. We have learned a lot because we have realized that this is one of the key aspects that Plug and Play does, is bringing people together. And yes, there's the matching part with the deal flows, and that's important because sometimes you need a pre-selection. For example, if you're a corporate partner, you need the pre-selection of startups. But sometimes there are things that we can't know, or interests and overlaps, synergies between people that are hard to grasp as an outsider. And those synergies, they are often discovered in networking events. So the events that we run, they range from small meetups, educational workshops for both corporates and sometimes for startups, up to the big expos that we run with sometimes more than 3,000 people. And they can engage in events, they can engage in deal flows. Sometimes we also do deal flows for VC partners. They can also engage via our special software platform Playbook, which now becomes a more crucial part that the times are getting more virtual. So now we do not only have the corporate innovation side, the startup side, the investment side, we also have many mentors and service partners who help the startups and also our corporate and investment partners on their journey to become more innovative and to become successful together. And I think that's a special nature of our network. It's a win-win-win-win relationship. I probably should add 2 or 3 more wins, because really everyone wins in this network. You can only benefit from each other, from the learnings, from moving forward. And that's what makes Plug and Play special. And you see me getting excited here because that's why I like working there, why I like to contribute to this platform. Now, before we dive into my special mission here, quick overview on the investment side. This is our portfolio updated March 2020, so there should be an update coming out soon. And you might recognize some of the names. 1% of our portfolio has a valuation of more than 1 billion, what we call unicorn status. And around 10% have a 100 million plus valuation. That makes us quite happy overall. And it's a very successful portfolio, and we are proud of it. In 2019, we invested in an additional 250 companies with an average check size of $114K. Mostly, we invest in seed and early stage startups. They made the majority of our investment portfolio. 74% were seed stage investment, 23% were early stage investments, so Series A and Series B, and only 3% were growth stage, Series C and beyond. And I would say that some of the growth stage were also follow-up investments into startups that we had already invested on earlier. So to give you an overall summary, we are an innovative platform with many stakeholders, a business development startup accelerator, an innovation consultancy for Fortune 500 companies, a global network of entrepreneurs and corporations, an active investor in startups of all stages, and a host of 700 plus industry and innovation-centric events every year. So this is the overall overview of Plug and Play and its history. Now, of course, there are always some special projects that we do. And one of those is an initiative that is very close to my heart, and it's called Found Her. With Found Her, we support female entrepreneurs. And there was a point in my career when I read an article about investments into female founders. And I was shocked because it's at 2.8%. 2.8% of venture capital go to female founders. Now you may say, well, there aren't that many female founders out there, so how can we invest in more female founders? But that's not necessarily a valid argument if 20 to 30% of all founders are female, but only 2.8% get investment. So I was wondering, how can I contribute with my personal actions to help with that, to help female entrepreneurs get more investment, but also to get more attention, get more recognition in the media. It's very rare still that we see female entrepreneurs covered by the media or the press. Together with my colleagues, Rachel and Dominique, I found a way to revive this initiative, because originally this initiative was created by individuals within Plug and Play who wanted to better support female founders by building and exposing them to a network of mentors, investors, and other entrepreneurs. And together we took that and revived the initiative with a lot of events, engaging networking opportunities between the stakeholders in our ecosystem. So today we aim to increase opportunities for female founders by providing them with our resources and by building connections for them and with them, with the investment community and with corporate partners for potential partnerships. So this is our founder leadership team. Dominique is mostly handling the events and the marketing. That's a big chunk. You can go back to the 700 plus events with founder. We probably do around 15 to 20 every year. My colleague Rachel, who's aiming to expand the initiative to other plug and play locations around the world, and who's also doing research on female entrepreneurship topics. And then myself, I'm doing the mentorship and the education for startups, mostly with workshops. But in 2021, we're also aiming to do mentorship office hours for female entrepreneurs. So Founder includes mentorship, education, networking opportunities, events and webinars, as well as diversified partnerships. That means that we work with various different organizations also active in that space to create events together. Because why reinvent the wheel? There are so many great female entrepreneurship organizations out there who help, and together you're stronger. So that's what we believe in. Now, our mission is to inspire, to educate, and to connect. So we do those events, we bring female entrepreneurs together with other actors, but also with like-minded people in networking events. We educate with the workshops and the mentorship. We do research, and we also have a little bit of a media presence on LinkedIn. Why am I telling you about this initiative? Of course, because I want to bring awareness to the topic of female entrepreneurship. And if you would like to be involved in the initiative, do an event together with us, or just mentor a couple of startups, give your advice, share your experience as a female entrepreneur. All those would be great opportunities to get involved. And we would love to be hearing from you. So my last slide is a contact slide. Please feel free to reach out to me at leila@pnptc.com. Thank you so much for your attention and have an amazing day. Bye-bye.